With me in the studio today is a fellow British Airways face-to-face winner, and his name is Larry Jaffee. He's a magazine publisher, and when you find out the genre about what he writes about, I think you're going to be very interested. Welcome to our show.
Thanks.
Now tell me about UKQ and what UKQ is about, Larry.
Well, it's a magazine I've been thinking about doing for a very long time. It's about British film, theater, and television on both sides of the Atlantic.
And did you always start out being a person that loves everything British, like crumpets and tea, or how did you come up with this passionate idea?
I actually date it back to when I was a kid in the mid-'60s, when I was collecting matchbox cars. They used to come in these little yellow boxes, and I always thought they were much cooler than anything that was in the U.S.
And did you have one that was like the English taxi, or?
Yeah, I did have that.
Okay.
I had the bus. Actually,
right.
I love that. My brother.
Oh, the double-decker bus, the red bus, right?
Yeah. And also, of course, Beatlemania started right around the same time. So I was a big fan of all the British invasion bands, you know, the Zombies, the Animals, the Rolling Stones. And
how did your love for writing then, you know, develop for you? What were the first early things that you wrote? Well, when I was in high school, I was writing mostly about British rock music, I found.
And I decided, well, you know, there's a world outside of music as well. So I became interested in television and film. Monty Python was on it. That was a big influence on my life growing up as well.
Bring out your dead, right?
The funny thing about...
not dead yet.
That's right. In fact, when I first started publishing the magazine, I received a nice email from the woman who was responsible for selling Monty Python to U.S. public television stations, and said it was about time that a magazine like this came up.
Excellent. You know, I think the fact that we both speak English, although we speak Americanese almost, but I think that helps, and I think that there's more economic growth between the two countries happening now. And I noticed you also wrote a book, it's called Albert Square and Me, about the Queen. Now, is that, you know, authorized, or is this something that you did with stories that you kind of got on the sly? How did that come about?
No, actually, the book came out of a newspaper that I've been publishing for the last 20 years called the Walford Gazette. This paper is about the British television show EastEnders, which is on locally on Channel 21 Wednesday nights at 10 o'clock.
As opposed to the East End of Long Island, those
That's
EastEnders, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I see T-shirts always once in a while that say EastEnders, meaning the East End of Long Island, the Hamptons. So I've been doing the newspaper for about 20 years, and decided I wanted to do something a little broader, and that's why I came up with the magazine idea. The reason why the Queen is on the cover is that she visited the set of EastEnders, and two of the best-known actresses, you know, showed her around the studio. So I figured, well, you know, you have three British icons.
Yes.
And I did receive a nice letter from the private secretary of the Queen congratulating me on the book.
That's fabulous. And were you nervous at first to get the rights to use that image, or did it work out well for you?
No, that's a pretty straightforward process in terms of licensing with a photo agency. In fact, the photo on the magazine is from the same agency.
Wonderful. Now tell us, where are you going with this magazine?
Well, I am approaching all, as you mentioned, there's a lot of connection between British and American companies now. So any company that's involved in that cultural exchange, I'm talking to in terms of getting distribution.
And how often do you go to England?
About once a year.
Yeah, how often do you jump over the pond, right?
Yeah, about once a year.
Okay, and what's the reception there of your magazine?
They're amazed. They say, why didn't this happen here first?
So UKQ. Yeah. And so right now, what are you writing? You're writing stories about what? What's hot right now?
Well, actually, I'm working on a review of the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, which just opened here in New York last week. Judi Dench is the star of it. And in fact, Judi Dench's biographer found out about the magazine and said he would like to write for the publication as well. And
you're also writing for the Huffington Post.
That's right.
Okay, tell us about that blogging experience for you.
Well, I actually responded to a blog post about EastEnders, and the editor there said, you know, you should write for us. So I said, that's great. So I've done, I don't know, about 8 pieces for them so far, and I guess the one that got the most response was why Meryl Streep won the Oscar for
her efforts. Yeah, it was pretty exciting. And why do you think she won?
I think it was she morphed into Margaret Thatcher. You know, I thought the film might be better received, but it's no wonder that Meryl Streep won.
She completely morphed into that character. She's fabulous. She's really, really wonderful. Well, thank you so much for keeping us hip and in tune with everything that's happening on the other side of the pond as well as here. And for more information, Larry, where could they reach out to you?
My website is uk-cue.com.
Okay, uk-cue.com. And Larry's really fabulous, so we're going to be linking to him from us at liveituptvshow.com.